Welcome, folks, back to our Wednesday webinar series. We started this stuff out talking about risk management. How can we help you from a risk management standpoint? Today's topic is going to be the OSHA top 10 most cited regulations. Last week, we kind of went over a myriad of things that we do for you, or can do for you. All you need to do is ask. We'll be there for you. Today, we want to focus on proactivity, prevention. What are the things that you and your teams can look for in hopes of preventing injuries, preventing those big costly medical bills, and unfortunately, the big bills that can come from OSHA. So we're going to start out with the OSHA top 10 most cited violations in 2019. You can see fall protection, hazard communication, which is basically your chemical safety programs and processes, scaffolding, lockout, tagout, respiratory protection, ladders. Yes, there is a citation, there is a violation, there is a standard regarding just ladders. Powered industrial trucks, your forklifts, your power lifts, fall protection. Again, that's how serious this is. Not only do they hit you at number 1, they're going to hit you again number 8. Machine guarding, and number 10, eye and face protection. These were the top 10 most cited OSHA violations in 2019. And we're going to go over these 10, just give you a quick little snapshot of what OSHA was looking for and what you guys might want to look for if any of your team members, any of your tasks, any of the things that your folks are out there doing. So let's look at fall protection. There were over 6,000 violations cited by OSHA, probably another 6 million that were conducted that nobody saw. But what did they hit most of these companies for? How did you protect your employees around roofs? There's a 3-foot standard. You need to keep 3 feet away from the edge of any roof. Okay, you need to have either some type of fall protection system, a line. There's a lot of different aspects of fall protection that we can discuss and help you with. Take a look at your operation, find out if you are in compliance. But not only was it the number 1 cited, but this is where people die. They fall off roofs. And the last thing we want you to have to deal with is a fatality. Not only is it super expensive, but just think it's probably a family member, somebody that you see every day that comes to work every single day, and then all of a sudden they're gone just because you turned your head the wrong way. They made one step that they shouldn't have made, and it's cost them their lives. So fall protection is huge. Now, hazard communication from a chemical safety standpoint, 1910, 1200, another 3,600 violations out there. Are we training our employees on the chemicals that they use? The other name for this standard is your right to know. Every single employee that works for you has a right to know what kind of chemicals they are working with. Okay, what type of protection do they need while they're working with that chemical? How do you dispose of that chemical? Can you mix that chemical? Do you have the right safety data sheets? Last week, we talked about the difference between a material safety data sheet and a safety data sheet. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you still have material safety data sheets in your right to know binder, if you don't have a right to know binder, you need to give us a call and let us help you out. Because you need to have the brand new GHS Global Harmonized System Safety Data Sheets in your facility, and your employees need to know where they are. If you're not training your employees on this, we want to be your guide to being in compliance as it relates to hazard communication. So what came after that? Scaffolding. So this was a big hit in the construction industry. 2,813 violations. Are you setting up your scaffolding properly? Do you have proper decking? Do you have the right guardrails? Do you understand how the guardrails have to be put up? Do you know the height? Do you know that you have to have a mid rail? Do you know the bottom rail has to have a lip so that tools aren't falling from one level to the next? Again, we can help you out. If you guys are doing scaffolding, let us take a look at your operation. Let us make sure you're in compliance. Lockout, tagout, although it's number 4, it's probably number 2 in regards to into fatalities. 1910-147, another 2,600 violations. The lack of implementation of energy control procedures and training. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but let me try and put it in layman's terms. If you're working on a piece of equipment that is energized, that's plugged in, okay, and it has energy running through it, the last thing you want to do is be doing some type of maintenance on that machine, and then it automatically turns on and you lose a finger, you lose a life, you get electrocuted. There's hundreds of different things that you need to look for from a lockout tagout perspective. But let's make it simple. If you're going to work on a piece of equipment, unplug it, de-energize it, take it to a ZMS state, a zero mechanical state, so that it will not start up. Sometimes the power source is in a different room. You have to actually go in, put your lock, not a lock, your lock, a lock that was personally assigned to you, okay, and lock out that piece of equipment so no one else decides, oh, I'm coming back from lunch, let me get a hold of that saw. They didn't know that Pete was working on it. Next thing you know, they turn it on, it takes my arm off. And I tell you, and my 20+ years experience in doing safety work, I can give you story after story about how the lack of lockout tagout has cost somebody a digit, an appendage, or their life. So be familiar with lockout tagout. Make sure you're training your folks. Make sure you have the right process and protocols in place. What comes after that? Respiratory protection. I'm sure all of us today with COVID-19 are thinking, do I have the right respiratory protection for my employees? Right now, a paper mask, you know, a cloth mask, a filtered mask, a half mask, is the norm, just to go to work, just to go eat, just to go out. But in a workplace, there's a whole different criteria that needs to be looked at. You can see what OSHA is looking for. Are you fit testing your people? If you're working in an environment, okay, around asbestos, around dangerous chemicals, around silica, okay, not only do you have to provide the proper face masking, but you've got to do fit testing. Your employees have to be fit tested. If you have to wear a full face mask at your job, you can't have a beard. You can't have a goatee. In a lot of cases, in some cases, not even a mustache. You have to have a clean face. Okay, so you get a clean seal, a proper seal around that respiratory equipment. A medical evaluation. You've got to have a pulmonary function test to make sure that your body, okay, your lungs will be able to take the environment that you're in, be able to utilize the PPE that's required for the task. And then you have to have a program that states exactly what type of equipment you need for the environment that you're in. 2,450 violations related just for respiratory protection. Before we close up today, I'm going to talk to you about exactly what kind of citations, what those cost every time you get one of those citations. How about ladders? How many of you guys use ladders where you work today? How many of you check them every day? That is a regulation that you should be inspecting your ladder every single day. Okay, this rung is messed up on this wooden ladder. Okay, let's cut those legs down and let's make a 6-foot ladder into a 4-foot ladder. Is that acceptable? Heck no. It's easy to take shortcuts, but I'm here to tell you right now, guys, if your ladder is jacked up, throw it away. Get rid of it. Don't give it to one of the employees that said I can use it. It needs to be destroyed, and and discarded, because the last thing you want is to be responsible for an accident that occurred because you were utilizing a defective ladder. One of the biggest accidents that occurs at work and at home are those people that get on that top rung. Okay, you feel like, oh, I can't reach it, but let me get on this top rung. Well, how are you going to get down? You know, if you're a cat, that works. If you're a guy like me, you know, 60 years old, 275 pounds on a top rung just because I'm trying to put up some lights or fix something, I don't know how I'm going to get down. But every day you can see that in different workplaces, and I appeal to each and every one of you. 2,345 violations and a bunch of serious accidents because you decided you didn't have time to go get the proper ladder to do the job. Don't be one of those folks. The standard 1910-1053, that is a general industry standard, so that's great across the board. Any business that's out there today can get cited for the wrong ladders, for defective ladders, and the wrong use of ladders. So be cognizant, and again, let us know. We'd love to go out there and do some inspections for you, teach your folks how to do those inspections. One of the greatest things one of the greatest best practices that I've seen is that you actually have a check off that we've checked our ladders daily. And then monthly, you can even put colored tape around it to show, hey, blue for January, red for February, green for March. And it shows that we've checked that ladder not only on a daily basis, but done a deep check on it on a monthly basis. Powered industrial trucks, 1910-178, another 2,000 violations cited for forklift, training, damaged equipment, recertification. So you have somebody who started working for you 1998, he got recertified then. Oh, and he's good to go. He knows what he's doing. He's safe. Every 3 years, your employees need to be recertified on the use of that equipment. A lot of times it's just doing a checklist. This employee still understands that he needs to check the horn, make sure the backup alarm works. Is the seat belt on? Are the forks in good shape? Are the tires in good shape? We've got all of this ready to go if you don't have the proper program set up for your powered industrial truck program. Just let us know. We'll get it to you. We'll go out there and help you with it. But it's critical. There are people that have been run over, maimed, killed because powered industrial truck equipment was defective, wasn't working properly, or you just had the wrong guy behind the wheel. The wrong guy behind the wheel. And it's a very easy fix. It's one we're here to help you fix. Fall protection, again, from a training standpoint. Do you have the right people looking at the way you guys set up your fall protection program? Okay, and then the OSHA standard, it identifies a competent person. That's somebody that's very familiar with the processes, okay? Very familiar with the standard, just not Johnny Joe out on the blue that said, oh yeah, I know what I'm talking about, let me get it done. You've got to have a competent person providing that training, okay? Do you have the proper documentation that training was done, the proper certifications? If you could say you did all the training in the world, if it's not documented, it's not in a personnel file, it never happened, and you guys are going to get hit. That's what a lot of the 1,773 violations, that's what that was all about, having the right people doing the training and the right documentation for that training. Machine guarding, the easiest way to lose a fingertip, the easiest way to lose an entire hand, by not utilizing the safety guidelines, guards, training, safety program for machine guarding. Another over 1,700 violations. The point of operation and guards. And even when it comes to the point of operation, you know, from a grinder standpoint, you have to be able to know that you only have an 1/8 of an inch that you can have between a grinder and the wheel. This is, again, an easy way. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you lose a piece of your finger, you've got to report that directly to OSHA. Any amputation that occurs since 2017 has to be directly reported to OSHA. And I promise you guys, they'll be knocking at your door. And they're not going to come and just look for your machine guarding and what happened to Pete. Okay, they're going to come in and want to know your entire program, stem to stern. Okay, what do you have in place? Just because you guys were lack or decided that, you know, today wasn't the day we were going to use the guard on that machine and it cost somebody a digit or a piece of a digit, expect OSHA knocking at your door. Not only are you going to get the citation, okay, but they'll come knocking at your door. So be cognizant of it. Be very aware of the machines that you're using, the proper guarding. Don't prefab anything. Once a guard falls off, you guys try and prefab something, your warranty goes out of place, and OSHA is going to really use a fine-tooth comb to determine whether or not you properly guarded that piece of machine. So let's turn to eye and face protection. Are you guys providing the right PPE? If you're on any construction site, if you're at any facility that requires PPE, the first thing they're going to want to know is, do you have the right safety glasses on? Safety glasses, goggles, face shield. Are you protected against flying objects? And if those flying objects are going to come to you at a specific PSI, okay, do you have the right glasses on? Are you set up for chemicals? You know, a splash in the face, a pair of safety glasses won't help you if you are welding, okay? If you are dealing with something that can splash on your face, you're gonna have to have a face shield. You're gonna have to have goggles that fit across your face in a snug fashion. So again, a PPE assessment is critical to everything that you guys do on a daily basis. And it might not be every single one of the clients that we have, but there's a handful out there that PPE assessments need to be done. They need to be done annually. And if you change the task, if you start doing something different, one client that you have is going to ask you to do something that you've never done before. Let's go do a job safety analysis and a PPE assessment, just to make sure that you're not putting your employees at any risk. There's 25, 30 different safety glasses with different classifications that will work if you get something in your eye. If something shoots out at your eye, you know, you want to make sure that your folks are protected. A cheap pair of $3 safety glasses are great if you're just going out, you know, and you're expected to have safety glasses. But if you're going to be working with tools and sharp objects and flying objects are coming your way, you want to make sure you have the right protection on. So those are the top 10 cited violations. I'd be amiss if I didn't share with you what some of those violations could cost you. And you can look right now, $13,260, and this is straight from OSHA, ladies and gentlemen, straight from OSHA. If you're cited for violation of a standard, you can look at a minimum $13,000 citation, okay? And I'm not talking about just for their visit. If they hit you for HAZCOM, you don't have a program, 13 grand. If you don't have your PPE, 13 grand. If you don't have your folks trained on forklifts, 13 grand. All that is going to add up, okay? It's all going to add up. And if you look at the second bullet point where it says failure to abate, now we're looking at, because they're going to give you 30, 60, 90 days, depending on what you can negotiate. What we can negotiate for you, if you're caught in this situation, allow us to go in there and negotiate this with OSHA and your leaders, and we'll say, yes, we'll get this done in 30 days. Let's say you decide, you know what, I'm just not going to do it. So now you're looking at $13,260 per day until you get it done. start doing the math. I'm not going to do it for you, but I mean, if you just look at 10 days, you're looking at $130,000. Okay, 20 days. Before you know it, in a month, you're already up to $500,000. Now, willful and repeated violations. Okay, they decide they're going to come in 6 months. You haven't done anything. Somebody calls, one of your employees calls OSHA and says, we know you were here. They have not made any of the changes, or they changed them for 30 days and now we're doing back the same thing. Take a look at $132,000. You know, $132,598 per violation if they determine that you've done a willful or repeated violation. And we just looked at the top 10 standards, right, ladies and gentlemen, just the top 10. You know, there's another 300 standards out there that you need to be cognizant of, you need to be aware of. And we can help identify those for you, how they reflect upon the tasks that all your employees are asked to do on a daily basis. I don't have this slide, but I want to share with you that in 2019, just fall protection, OSHA sent out over $10 million in fines in 2019. And then on the HAZCOM standard, another $8 million. Now, we're actually in a situation, I want you to know, in 2019 where OSHA's kind of scaled back. You know, the administration today is kind of scaled back on OSHA. They want the freedom of companies to do what they need to do to get their job done. I'm all for that, okay? But that doesn't mean that OSHA's not out there. That's just two standards in which they assessed over $17 million in fines in just 2 standards across the United States of America. I would venture to say probably $100 million in just OSHA citations, OSHA fines in 2019 across the board. I know we've gone through this quickly, but I don't want to take up all your time, because really I'd rather be at your work site. I'd rather be there talking to you face to face, helping you identify where we can assist you, where we can make sure your employees that walk in and go to work can walk out and go home, that they have all 10 fingers, all 10 toes, all 2 eyes, everything else that they started with, that they can go home that same way. So please do not hesitate to give us a call, shoot us an email, whatever we can do to help you out. Next week, we're going to talk about post-accident investigation, how to report an incident, what to look for in regards to accident investigation. What does the post-accident drug testing do, and how critical is it? How about return to work? If the doctor says Pete can go to work with restrictions, what is my responsibility to get him back to work? We're going to talk about that and much, much more. And I deeply appreciate your time this Wednesday, and I look forward to talking to you guys next Wednesday. Have an amazing afternoon. Be super safe, and just know we're a phone call away. Thank you.